Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a real-life historical detective story. We're going to be looking at ancient texts, hidden messages, and a centuries-old mystery that literally still captivates scholars today. If you're into archaeology, or if you just love untangling the secrets of the past, you are going to absolutely love this journey.
Let me just start off by asking you a question. What if there was a part of the Bible that survived in only one manuscript in the entire world? Think about that for a second. We know of thousands upon thousands of ancient biblical fragments and texts that have been discovered over the millennia, right? Yet this one highly specific, highly unusual passage exists in just a single, solitary document. It kind of sounds like the plot of a Hollywood thriller, but it is an entirely real piece of history.
Section 1. The Secret of the Codex Washingtonianus. Okay, let's dive right into this remarkable physical artifact. So, this ancient, super fragile manuscript holds a secret that totally shifts how we view a critical moment in the biblical narrative. In the academic world, this mystery is known as the Washington insertion, or the Freer Login. But simply put, it's a completely unique passage tucked right into the conclusion of the Gospel of Mark. And out of all the historical records we have, it's found in only one surviving ancient Greek manuscript in existence. Literally nowhere else.
Let's look at the timeline here to see how this all builds. This single document was created way back in the 4th or 5th century. Honestly, just the fact that this specific arrangement of parchment and ink somehow survived the ravages of war, weather, and time is incredible in itself. Fast forward many centuries to 1906, and it gets purchased by a collector over in Egypt. And today, this completely priceless artifact sits securely right here in the United States, carefully housed at the Freer Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C.
Section 2. What does the secret text say? Let's zoom in from the physical book sitting in a museum display case straight into the secret dialogue hidden inside its ancient pages.
First things first, we need to locate exactly where this sits in the Bible. This highly unusual text is inserted specifically into what textual scholars call the longer ending of the Gospel of Mark. If you were looking at a standard layout, you'd find it placed directly after verse 14 of chapter 16. So it's tucked right into a very crucial, highly emotional part of the post-resurrection story.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer tension between the standard biblical text we're all familiar with today and the unique text found in this single manuscript. You see, in the standard text of modern Bibles, Mark 16:14 features Jesus rebuking his disciples, pretty harshly actually, for their unbelief and their hardness of heart. He's calling out their failure. But in the Washington insertion, the whole narrative dramatically shifts. The apostles don't just stay silent under the criticism, they actively apologize and try to formulate a defense for themselves. Just listen to the exact words the apostles use to excuse themselves in this ancient Greek manuscript. They say, "This age of lawlessness and unbelief is under Satan, who does not allow the truth and power of God to be apprehended by those who lie under the unclean spirits. Therefore, reveal thy righteousness now." Do you catch what they're doing there? They are actively shifting the blame. They're taking their own doubts and pinning them entirely onto the devil and the corrupt age they happen to live in.
And Christ? Well, he doesn't just ignore this excuse. He responds to them with equal gravity. He tells them, "The term of years of Satan's power has been fulfilled, but other terrible things draw near. And for those who have sinned, I was delivered over to death, that they may return to the truth and sin no more, in order that they may inherit the spiritual and incorruptible glory of righteousness which is in heaven." The theological weight of this Greek original translation is just massive. It's a completely unique exchange.
Section 3. Why was the insertion created? Whoever copied this text, or whatever early Christian community originated this dialogue, they had a very specific, deliberate motive for altering the established narrative. They wanted to fix something.
When we step back and analyze it, we can see exactly why this text is so absolutely vital for textual critics today. Basically, there are three main reasons this insertion is so important to our understanding of early Christian history. First, it acts as an explicit apology for the apostles. Second, it directly addresses the theological problem of evil. And third, it provides us with fascinating evidence about the knowledge of biblical texts in antiquity.
Now, what's really interesting here is the concept of ancient PR and damage control. Let's be honest for a second. The early church had a bit of a public relations problem with the original ending of Mark. It makes the disciples, the literal founders of the movement, look terrible. It highlights their failure and their unbelief. This insertion appears to be a very clever attempt to excuse the apostles. By having them speak up and blame Satan and the wickedness of the era, the text totally softens their personal failure. It protects their reputation for future generations.
Beyond just the PR spin, the text also wrestles with a massive philosophical and theological issue, the problem of evil. Early Christians were asking a very logical question. If Jesus was resurrected and ultimately victorious, why is the world still full of suffering? Why does Satan still seem to hold so much power? This text directly addresses that deep anxiety. Jesus confirms that Satan's ultimate time is ending, sure, but he frankly warns them that other terrible hardships are still approaching. It was almost a coping mechanism to make sense of the daily persecution they faced.
Moving to our third point, we uncover an absolutely fascinating historical fact. Today, this is a one-of-a-kind manuscript, but it wasn't always a complete secret. Back in the 4th century, the highly prominent church father Jerome, the famous scholar who authored the Latin translation of the Bible known as the Vulgate, he actually wrote about this. He specifically noted that he had personally seen part of this exact dialogue in some Greek copies of the Gospel of Mark during his lifetime. So even though only one survived, this text was clearly out there circulating in the ancient world.
Section 4. An addition within an addition. So the crucial point is, when we zoom out and look at the broader landscape of biblical scholarship, we discover a brilliant twist to our historical story. Here is the twist. The Friar Longuyon isn't just an addition to the original text, it is an addition within an addition. Today, the vast majority of textual critics agree that the entire longer ending of Mark, everything from verse 9 through 20, wasn't actually in the original earliest versions of the Gospel at all. It was added later. Therefore, this unique apology dialogue is essentially a secondary edit mated to a primary edit, and that is exactly why you won't find it in the main text of modern Bibles today. It's mostly relegated to the footnotes as this truly captivating historical curiosity. Which leaves us with a truly compelling thought to end our analysis on. Think about this. If early Christian communities felt the intense pressure to engage in damage control, if they felt the need to literally edit the behavior and dialogue of the apostles to give them a better PR spin against the forces of darkness, what other ancient edits might be hidden away in history? The mystery of the Codex Washingtonianus proves that history isn't just a static list of cold facts. It's a living document of human struggles, anxieties, and defenses. It challenges us to keep questioning and keep looking closely at the past. Thank you so much for joining me for this explanation, and I really hope this sparked your curiosity to learn more.